Are you ready to get casual? Grab your favorite adult beverage or combustible plant and join us for our roundtable TTRPG discussion. Oh yeah, it's time for Casual Friday. And now, here are your hosts.
Hey, we are the host, as the guy told you, and we are ready to get casual. It's Friday. We're here to talk about tabletop role-playing games like Dungeons and Dragons and other tabletop role-playing games, and sometimes we talk about other stuff like maybe board games, a little Critical Role, a little bit of war games, a little skirmish games. It's mostly from this nerd over here, that last one. And every once in a while we argue about Stranger Things. Every once in a while. But we don't have anything to discuss with Stranger Things this week. But the first thing we're going to talk about...
Purple Rain was the perfect choice for that album.
You can never go wrong with Prince.
Much. They built it up so much, and then it was, I don't know. Anyway, okay, so news that's pretty breaking, that's pretty recent. We've just learned that Melf's Guide to Greyhawk is coming officially through Wizards of the Coast from Luke Gygax, heir to the Gygax fortune. Probably not. At GaryCon this week, they announced that he's working on a book called Melf's Guide to Greyhawk. No other information is known at this time, but there are a couple other juicy bits of information we can glean. There's a yellow section here that's set off. I forget what you call that in the typesetting. It's set off like
read aloud text. I think that's the box. The read.
I was just about to say in a RPG book, that's the read aloud text.
Well, it's it implies it's from an interview, and I don't think this was translated by a human because the language is difficult to parse. It sounds like maybe a conversation that was had after they had some drinks, but there's some kind of interesting stuff in here. It implied basically that Luke was working on this on his own, that he had reached out to some artists and some other people and was working on this book, and he said putting it there. And there's no description of where there is, but I assume it was DM's Guild. And then he kind of tells the story in reverse. He talks about them approaching him, and then he says, I was already working on it. I'm not going to read through the quote because it wouldn't actually make any sense. It's difficult to parse. But there was a bit of information at the end that's also interesting where Ayub said, we have to mend whatever rift happened between the family and the franchise.
Yeah, well, I mean, we've kind of always kind of suspected that there was, a long history of kind of bad blood between Gary and the D&D brand, because he was kicked out of his own company back when they were TSR. And, through things like Gary Con and over the years, especially with the OSR community, Gary has received a lot of credit that he very much deserves, right? But then there's also been some criticisms of Gary over the years. Gary was a complex guy. Like most people, he had many facets to him, and he's an important part of our hobby. Even though, you could find faults, but we all have our faults, right? Just most of us don't have them out there for everybody to see, because we're not like, the go-to designer for a game that started an entire genre of games.
Yes. To be fair, if I was in Wisconsin in the 70s, I probably would have said some dumb shit too. I probably would have been smarter than to type it out on a typewriter and submit it to a publication. But hey, I think it's great, really. Like I saw this and I was so excited this morning because I didn't see this till it hit the agenda. I was like, ooh. There's been rumblings that, the son of Gary will come and save us, like some messiah figure from the Grognards. And so
Lisan al Gygax. There you go.
I was a little dismissive of rumors that 6th edition was going to be just 2nd edition all over again, and like some 60-year-old dude's wet dream of what D&D would look like. But when Greyhawk was in the DMG, I was like, yes, we're getting something. I mean, new is not the correct word, but something different than the last decade of the same Forgotten Realms stuff. Greyhawk is a rich world with all sorts of stuff. It's a little lower fantasy than like the Marvel cosmic multiverse that we've been traversing for the last decade. Like it's a little more swords and sandals, All right, there's a UFO in the mountains we can talk about. There's like plenty of room for the crazy cool stuff. But I am pumped. That Melf is writing Melf's Guide to Greyhawk, and it's like legit an official thing because we all have our. I'm not a WotC standboy, but like they've got the biggest budget. They're gonna make the best book. Like this coming from Hasbro is going to have better production values, better art, probably more content, way more support, advertising. Like it is a net positive. If you're rooting for Luke, you're rooting for this to do well.
Mm-hmm.
Doing it with WotC is the best case scenario. And yeah, I mean it's a new staff of people in there. Whatever bad blood happened in actually even before Wizards got there, right? Because like Gary wasn't in TSR when Wizards got the IP. So like, yeah, it's good to mend some fences here, build some bridges. Let's stop throwing mud at each other.
Yeah. Well, and I think this is the best way you could do Greyhawk, right? Like if Wizards of the Coast published their own Greyhawk book, chances are it wouldn't be perfect, right? Because most WotC products aren't fantastic. They put out a lot of good products, but not so many great or amazing products. And the community is going to be hypersensitive to anything that's Greyhawk because it means so much to us older players who grew up with Greyhawk, right? So the fact that you have Luke working on it, I think goes a long way to kind of cushioning the harsh lens that would otherwise be focused on this product, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So I think that's a good idea to have Luke, piloting the ship on this, this Greyhawk project. I think that's a really good thing for both Luke, right, to be able to get his name out there and get more publicity for him, and because he's done other work, right, third party work, and then also for WotC to have Luke on board, kind of, I think eases some of the fears or concerns people might have with WotC tackling Greyhawk.
Maybe so. Yeah. I'm fixated on this quote about we have to mend whatever rift happened between the family and the franchise, because as far as I understood when Wizards of the Coast bought Dungeons and Dragons, that they made it right between them and Arneson and them and Gygax. But we know there's been several other controversies because there's been multiple new companies named TSR. Mm-hmm. One of those Luke was involved with, and the other one he was not. The other one his brother Ernie was involved with, Ernie, who passed away last year. Luke and Ernie were involved in the first one mostly because they were making a magazine called Gygax, but then their stepmom sued them over the name. And that was a big drama, but that had nothing to do with Wizards of the Coast. That had nothing to do with the D&D franchise, as far as I know. That was completely separate. And Luke eventually bailed from that whole project because he saw where it was going. Mm-hmm. They were going to have to sign away the rights to their name, and it was. I wouldn't. Don't sign away your name, kids. Don't. That's one thing they should not be able to take from you. Is your name. So I don't know. That's interesting. As far as I know, Luke has not spoken on that.
Yeah, and I think what you're referring to, when my understanding from various sources, that when WotC bought the brand, they did pay out, an undisclosed amount to the Gygax family and to Dave Arneson's family, as a way to kind of make all that right. So I felt like, or at least I assumed that kind of mended the fences between those families and the brand. But, of course, since then, there was the whole thing with the art book that came out, that like had a disclaimer about, things that Gary said in his past and how WotC doesn't agree with those things that Gary said. I didn't think that was overly inflammatory. I felt like, like half a page and like a 400-page book.
Oh, yes. That was Much Ado About Nothing. Yeah.
That was the thing that got Elon Musk involved.
That's right.
Christ.
That's right.
Ugh.
Oh yeah. That, like Ryan said, that was Much Ado About Nothing. So I don't think this is referring to that. But I think it's just a good opportunity for both people involved. Like I said, hopefully having Luke on board makes, the old school folks a little more receptive to WotC putting out a Greyhawk product, and, collaborating with WotC helps Luke build his brand, right?
Indeed.
Chat's popping off somewhere in the, I don't know if it was the rumor mill or truth, because sometimes it's hard to parse when the news is coming in hot and heavy and people have agendas. But supposedly Joe Mango Jello, is that the amazing thing that you coined last time we were talking about?
No, that was from a Pittsburgh Dad YouTube video. He called him Joe Mango Jello.
Yeah. Pittsburgh's own Joe Mango Jello. Apparently is responsible for this, like, I don't know, coming together to break bread of the families after decades of drama. So the fact that he's in the room, I saw Weiss's name get thrown out in chat just now. People are talking about, what we're getting Dark Sun, right? They have UA for Dark Sun coming, which I'm kind of excited about. There's all sorts of potential awesomeness coming, and this is a cornerstone of awesomeness confirmed. Say what you will about anybody. I'm excited to get a new Greyhawk source book from a Gygax. That's cool. I don't care what you're mad about.
Well, one of the other things too that Greyhawk gives you that the Sword Coast doesn't. Greyhawk lends itself to a lot of political intrigue and open warfare. Right, the Greyhawk setting. It is much closer to like real world history. Gary wrote it that way, where you had nation against nation and like conspiracies and cold wars and live wars and all that sort of stuff going on in the setting, which makes it a little more complicated to run as a dungeon master. But if you want that kind of content in your world, Greyhawk is a good setting for that. Where the Sword Coast of Forgotten Realms is a collection of city-states, right? Neverwinter, Baldur's Gate, those are all, independent city-states, and there's not a lot of interaction. There's like in, I think all of the 5th edition content, is there ever a conflict between, Neverwinter and Baldur's Gate, or any of the other cities? The cities are all pretty independently contained and have their own drama, which makes it easier to run an adventure. If you're running an adventure in Baldur's Gate, you have the drama of Baldur's Gate, but you don't have to worry about how is the drama in Baldur's Gate affecting Neverwinter, or what's the other big city state on the Sword Coast?
Waterdeep?
Waterdeep. Yeah.
Yeah, to me, that's the appeal of the Sword Coast. Is that there's no central government, there's no central religion, there's no prophet, so it has a lot of space to tell more kind of stories about a prophet rising up to greatness to become the central religious figure in all of the Sword Coast, or a baron suddenly taking over huge swaths of land and declaring himself emperor of the Sword Coast. You can tell those kinds of stories, whereas Greyhawk, it's more built in that these are the people who've done the stuff.
Mm.
Right. And of course, if you're big on Forgotten Realms and you go to the eastern half of the Forgotten Realms, there is more of that. There are nations and that have various conflicts and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
But the Sword Coast, which is where fifth edition pretty much lived, is a much more streamlined governmental space to be able to tell stories, like Jim was just saying.
Any final thoughts on Greyhawk before we move on?
I'm pumped. I mean, I feel like some of the best things that have happened in the 10 years of like adventure publishing behind us in 5e were remakes of like, I don't know what my top 3 is, but Ghosts of Saltmarsh and Tales from the Yawning Portal are definitely in there, and that is predominantly Greyhawk material. So I for one, I am pumped. I'm going to buy that book, and I haven't committed to buying any of the new books yet. So here we are.
People in chat are throwing out names of big cities in the Forgotten Realms, and Icewind Dale always comes up, and that's so funny because Icewind Dale, R.A. Salvatore set the books there because there was like, we're not doing anything with this area. You have it, and he wrote the books there, and the books are popular. So then they started putting stuff there, which is the same thing they did with that Star Wars High Republic thing, which is like, they wanted to create an era in Star Wars that was just for the fiction writers and the comic writers. And then it did so well, then they're like, well, we have to set a TV show there. So they made the Acolyte, and it was terrible. And so now nobody cares about the High Republic era of Star Wars anymore. Moving on.
This might invite attacks, but I thought the Acolyte was actually a decent show.
It was all right. It had its moments. I appreciate that they tried to do something a little different and introduce spooky witchcraft to Star Wars. So moving on, speaking of things that are spooky, the next thing that we're going to talk about is a very probably, I haven't read it, so I can't say that it's strange, but I'm almost pretty sure that it's going to be very, very strange. That is Tavers, I think. The Meow Wolf role-playing game. Now, Brad, Ryan, have either of you been to a Meow Wolf yet?
I've been to the OG. It is.
Santa Fe?
It changed my life. Yeah, Santa Fe, man. It's an experience.
Have you been, Brad?
I have not. I have very little interaction with Meow Wolf.
So Meow Wolf is there's this little section down here that gives a history of the place. So I first went to Meow Wolf. It was just a museum in Denver. I didn't know there was a slew of them. Then I was in a suburb of Dallas, and there is a Meow Wolf in a shopping mall in Grapevine, Texas. And I was just driving there, and I was like, what the hell? So I took my son, and then we went on a mission to go to all of them. We've been to the 4, now there are 5, and soon to be 7. So yeah, they're outpacing my ability to travel to see them all. But it's just a kind of a weird, neon-drenched, sort of like an early 90s vision of the future, multiverse, weird alien kind of thing museum. And this is pretty sure this is Denver. And so I think they're showing you some of the art from the thing. And what does it say about the game? Tavers, the Meow Wolf role-playing game, invites you to wander through shimmering storyscapes and impossible landlines, places where mystery hums are on every corner, and immortal cybernetic hamsters, underground rat punks, shadowy agents of the Charter, community radio, or just the beginning. Taste the delights of fishy delishy. Dance the night away on a stage with a pan-dimensional skeletal terpsichorean. Surf the info waves of the tech stream on cyberboards, and so much more. So it's sort of like Slug Blaster, and I'm getting also some Triangle Agency vibes. Every Meow world is connected, threaded together by portals, and something strange or still, a vast psychic network known as the Tave. A gifted few don't sense it, they can access it, open portals, bend reality. Each of the Meow Wolf museums is sort of themed around one particular story. Like the one in Denver starts, you go into a house. The museum starts in a house, and then through different rooms you can access other parts of the museum. Like there's secret ways to get to other parts of the museum through the house. Like you have to go into a closet, and there's a hatch, or you can go through the refrigerator door in one part. But the idea is that these people in a house, like an alien visited them and set up their house to be an interdimensional portal. So there's all this weird stuff, like, and the Santa Fe one has its own story there, and Las Vegas is set in a shopping, or it's set in a grocery store. It's like called the Omega Mart, and it's a grocery store where you have to, just like Denver, you have to find out how to access the rest of the museum through hidden things. But really, if you're standing there, you'll see somebody else go through the thing and go, "Oh, that's where it is."
So it's like this psychedelic multiverse, like sci-fi setting, basically, right? And then the museums are, portals to this other realm, right?
Yeah.
Kind of the theme of it all. So interesting to be able to take that and then put a role-playing game in the middle of it. So definitely a pretty unique idea for a game. I'm not hating it.
So yeah, the Kickstarter's still going on, and I am going to back it. I haven't yet, but I just haven't decided at which level. I don't know if I need the super. This is the original cover on the left, and this is the cover on the right.
Go hamster.
Yeah,
Do it.
The
Go hamster.
is pretty awesome. Collaborative storytelling, tactile inventory management. Every item you acquire comes in a variety of fun shapes and must fit on your character sheet like a puzzle mini game. There's some OSR games that are like that, like Mouse Ritter. Here's the character sheet.
Meow Wolf is like trying to describe a drug trip to someone who never has experienced a drug trip. And if you know what I'm talking about, if you are experienced, then yeah, you will probably enjoy. I don't know about the game itself, but I will say I have a lot of faith in Exalted Funeral and how they do what they do. And God, I mean, my experience with Meow Wolf was like walking around for an hour being like, this is a psychedelic madness. You walk into the lobby is like a 90s Dayglow, or not Dayglow, but Blacklight bowling alley vibe. I don't know where they found the carpet. And then you walk inside to the exhibit and you're in a suburban house at night, walking up into the porch. And you open up the dryer and there's a slide down to this weird psychedelic Yeti dance party with a laser harp. And you're like, what is good for walk around for like an hour and a half. You're like, what is happening? What's around the corner? It's steampunky, weird Blade Runner stuff. And then like completely maniacal stuff. And then you turn a corner and you pop out of like the little girl's bedroom closet. And then you find out there's like a narrative and some like dad figured out how to rig up the toaster to make an interdimensional portal. And now the hamster's immortal. And the uncle started a travel agency. And then the cosmic police that stop unaffiliated portals from being opened came and tried to shut everything down. And then we went outside and had lunch, and I called my friend and he's like, you got to go back in and find, it was the laser harp. He's like, you got to it's like a maze. So like one of the most D&D experiences in the sense that like secret doors, things to discover. I thought I saw everything and there was like, I had missed the treasure room, like madness. Go do it if you can. If they can capture some portion of that lightning in a bottle and bring it to the game table, it's going to be cool.
It uses a 2d8 system they call octahedrals. The laser
they
harp,
stole that from us.
Laser harp in Santa Fe was awesome. It was awesome. It's just a dark room, smoke. This is the only way you can see the lasers, and you can just go up and it's loud. Like the one in Denver, they have this part where there's a huge carousel, and you can actually control the carousel with there's these buttons. It is very difficult to explain. It's like explaining a dream or an acid trip, trying to describe what Meow is like. But you ever come to Denver, go Denver or New Mexico, Grapevine, Texas, Las Vegas. In Las Vegas, it's out near the Area 51 area where they have a bunch of like outdoor stuff.
Yeah. So my impression is that this is like Rick and Morty Futurama on acid.
Yeah.
Yes, funded by George R.R. Martin. We haven't mentioned that yet. He paid for the first one in Santa Fe. He's a Santa Fe boy, and yeah, you can engage with it at different levels. Like there were people who were walking around treating it like an adult McDonald's Play Center, whatever that was called, for hours, and didn't realize that there was any sort of like structure or narrative or story happening. Like you can engage with it at different levels, but it's ultimately it was like it's a mystery that you can unravel.
Well, and Exalted Funeral just makes good games, right? Like they're
Yes.
like old school essentials, Dolmen Wood, Mouse Ritter, Land of Eam. Like they make cool shit. So
They made Mouse Ritter, so you can see the inventory slots. The inventory, they said inventory management is like a mini game, and so I'm thinking that this is probably like an inventory management sheet. Anyway,
And honestly, if it was someone else doing it, I would imagine it would be an unplayable mess. It's just a box of melted crayons you're trying to turn into a rule set. But if anyone can do it, it's Exalted Funeral. Land of Eam is close to that description.
yeah, we're gonna mention Land of Eam in just a little bit, but coming up next is something that Brad hipped us to, the Wizards of the Kids. The Whiz Kids announced new D&D Hero Clicks. I've never heard of Hero Clicks before, but this seems like... Brad, is Hero Clicks big in the skirmish industry?
Hero Clicks is a gateway into the skirmish game hobby. Hero Clicks appeals to the younger audience. Basically, the clicks part is the base of the miniature. Like twists, rotates. So the stats for your character are on the base. So like when you take damage, you click your base on the base of the miniature, and then that like tracks, how much damage you have taken, and then it might change like how powerful your abilities are. So it's an interesting game mechanic where the stats for your character are on the base of the miniature, and that base clicks around and like a dial and changes your stats as you take damage throughout the game. It relies largely on licensed products, so like DC, Marvel were kind of the two biggest ones for the longest time. But it's a gateway game to get kids really mostly into skirmish gaming. So this could be a way for you to introduce younger gamers to D&D, right? You'd be introducing them to a skirmish game version of D&D, but then you could move on to the RPG version of D&D, right?
You like the math, right? The math is fun, right?
Yeah.
You want to do more math?
But yeah, so Hero Clicks is has been around for like 20 years, I think. One thing I will say, if you're looking at this and thinking, "Ooh, this could be a great way to get a whole bunch of miniatures for my D&D game," Hero Clicks are notorious for it being difficult to remove the base from the miniature. So if you want to use that cool beholder that was on the screen right there in your D&D game, you're going to get stuck with the clunky Hero Click base on the bottom unless you want to spend a lot of time trying to dissect it off.
So it says that the Hero Clicks D&D set has 60 different pre-painted miniatures, but they come in booster packs. And right. For the link up here, I'm not going to click it, but I clicked it earlier, and it went to the website where you could get a box of 8 booster packs for $222, which is nuts. You don't even know what you're going to get. Oh, booster packs. Such a scam. Anyway, yeah. Oh, it says it here. 8 individual boosters gets a retail price of $223.
Yeah, and I think the boosters contain 4 miniatures.
3
There's only
3
three?
minis. Yeah, each booster pack. Oh, one oversized mini and one on a larger. Okay. 3 regular minis, 1 big mini, and an object token and a one-shot card.
Yeah, so,
But you can pretend that it's an investment and it's going to be worth more money one day because it's in a blind box.
yeah, like the 1 or 2 miniatures you get out of that entire $200 something pack might be worth money someday.
Well, I don't know. I've never played HeroClix. I'm seeing some nostalgia in the chat for HeroClix. I don't know. My kid might be into this. We play Necromolds a little bit, but sometimes he gets kind of bored with it after 30 minutes or so. He's not ready for 60, 90, 120 minutes of skirmish action, math, and checking rules and stuff. But I'm working on it.
Well, that's right. I had forgotten about Mage Knight. Mr. Welch mentions that Mage Knight was the original HeroClix game.
Yeah, that's mentioned up here.
And then they got the license to do the comic book stuff, and they had like I remember my oldest son, when he was younger, he got into it. We played it with I tried to collect as many of the X-Men as I could, and he collected a bunch of Avengers, and we would fight my X-Men against his Avengers.
Team X-Men, baby.
Same here, yeah, all the way.
All right. So, any last thoughts here on this? HeroClix. I would also like to say, as a little disclaimer, that we had reported before that DungeonsandDragonsFan.com has been accused of using AI in their articles. Well, they addressed it on the website and said they don't. So, case closed.
Can you zoom in on that logo? Because it seems like I don't agree.
Well, I don't know. That's just what they said. So other people said they were. They said they weren't. So these are the facts as I know them.
We just really like the M dash or whatever the hell. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, the logo feels
not
AI, but
a whole lot of TTRPG journalism websites out there to source articles from. Not a whole
that's
lot.
true.
Yeah.
If there aren't humans to rip off, you can't AI things.
Yes.
The one of the reasons I put this on the agenda is because it's another way that the D&D brand is getting out there, right? We all know, right? We've talked about it plenty of times that the D&D brand is under monetized. So I get excited when I see Wizards of the Coast making a new deal to put D&D on something else. Give me D&D lunchboxes, give me D&D Converse shoes, whatever. D&D bologna, D&D cereal, legit. I think there was actually D&D bologna. Because that's a way for Wizards of the Coast to make money on the brand that doesn't involve screwing up our hobby. So license it as much as you want, stick D&D on as many products as you want, as long as you're not trying to, mess up the hobby with microtransactions and all that sort of stuff.
Word, because I am also under monetized. Agile Monk, what up, man?
Yeah. So moving on, the next thing that we're going to talk about is the thing that I'm going to start talking about right now when I change the screen here, and that is
The Master of
Origin
Transitions.
the Origin Awards, run by the Game Manufacturers Association, is presenting their tabletop awards for this year and for 2025. The RPGs of the year are nominated are Age of Vikings, Chew the Role-Playing Game, Coriolis the Great Dark, Cthulhu Bay, Daggerheart Corset, Land of Eam, Cosmere RPG Stormlight Starter Set, Starfinder 2nd Edition, The Bonsai Diary, and Warhammer the Old World Role-Playing Game Player's Guide. Since Daggerheart is the only one of these I've played, if any of the other ones win, I will be furious. Daggerheart clearly deserves to win. No Draw Steel. That came out last year, right? Didn't it?
Did it technically come out last year? I think so. Yeah, I think its Kickstarter launched
I think it came out
December.
not too long after
Yeah.
Daggerheart.
It's beyond me. There's also like it comes out and you receive the book at like where you pledged. So it's a moving target. I always love these because it's like, oh, cool. Yeah, I forgot. I got excited about that and took my eye off it. And then there's others in here. I'm like, what? I never heard of that.
Coriolis is supposed to be a good game. That's a sci-fi game by Free League. I've heard really good things about it, but I've not played it. Starfinder Second Edition. A lot of people were really hyped for it because it was going to match up to Pathfinder 2. Essentially, the buzz was, and I actually had, like Ryan just said, it kind of dropped off my radar by the time it actually came out. But the buzz about Starfinder 2 was it was so compatible with Pathfinder 2 that you could build a world where you could play both games together. Like I can make a Starfinder character, Ryan can make a Pathfinder character, and Jim would be able to make a science fantasy setting where both of our characters could interact and play alongside each other. Yeah. So that was the big buzz about Starfinder 2. But I don't know if I've heard of anybody actually doing that. Like since the game has come out, I don't know anybody who's mixing and mashing their Starfinder and their Pathfinder.
I don't know, but I know I found the weird game on the list. I don't know if you remember, maybe it was last year or the year before. The kind of weirdo little game that was getting all the buzz was something like Auntie Bathsheba's Bed and Breakfast, Auntie Griselda's Bed and Breakfast, or something like that, where it was an RPG that was a sticker book. Where you play it got a bunch of buzz because it was like a slice of life kind of game where you played a number of different people staying at this hostel bed and breakfast, and each character has goals and you get stickers for the goals, and it was like on all the it was like Yaziba's Bed and Breakfast or something like that.
Indie darling. I thought you were going to say Fish Knife.
No, well, this year is the Bonsai Diary. This is pretty wild. It's basically a drawing game where you're role playing a bonsai tree, and you draw the tree every day.
Huh.
And
so it's like a solo RPG.
You trace the tree, draw new growth, journal what happens. Role playing game.
I would bet money there's a word in Japanese for the emotion of like, oh, I'm glad that exists in the world, and I have no interest in it. Like that very particular. No thanks, but good for you.
So this is kind of like, is it 1,000-Year-Old Vampire? That's like a journaling RPG. It's like a solo RPG that you journal every day or journal how often.
Yeah, exactly. It's exactly that. And it has the same vibe.
You're creating a tree instead of a story about a vampire.
What will they think of you in 2178? So you play a bonsai tree who lives hundreds of years. I don't know. I played 1,000-Year-Old Vampire and I thought it was quite fun. But it's not something that I would do, 30 times. I did a few runs through it and that was enough, but I probably wouldn't do it again.
Yaziba's Bed and Breakfast.
Yaziba.
Yeah, I found it. Yaziba's Bed and Breakfast by Possum Creek Games.
Yeah, you get stickers and everything. There's also a segment for role-playing supplements. I know these even less. Adventure, Calendar 19, Kitty Clack's Christmas. That sounds like a hate crime. Alien RPG, Rapture Protocol, Call of Cthulhu, The Sutra of Pale Leaves, Twin Suns Rising, very sexy, Call of Cthulhu. Cthulhu by Gaslight, Keeper's Guide, Full Art Dice Set, Porcelain. I guess it's a supplement. It doesn't say adventure. Green Oaks, Pendragon, Game Master's Handbook, The Field Guide to Floral Dragons, Explorer's Box Set, The Vault of Many Things, and Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay High Elf Player's Guide. Let's look at this dice set.
It's a weird category because it's like the DMG for some systems and like adventures for others. That Floral Dragons from Hit Point Press thing looks pretty cool. It's like it's almost like it's like it's a monster book, but that almost is a setting book. And then it's like, check out these cool dice. Here's a box of minis, stand-ups. Like it's kind of a kitchen sink of a category. So I don't know how you judge a DMG versus a dice set. It's hard to. Hit Point Press will not let you decline this offer.
They won't let me click out of this. Here's
you must
a hint.
give the owl your email address.
This is what's dumb. On my website, jimeska.com, there is a pop-up, but it only pops up when you attempt to leave the page. If you move your cursor toward your X, it pops up. Otherwise, if you have a timed pop-up on your website, go to hell. Like Hit Point Press. Sorry. You're dead to me. I will say this about this dice set. This is a no for me, dog. Look at those things. I could not in a million years read that. What are those? Are those numbers? Does this say 40? I'm pretty sure that says 40. That says either 19 or 12, or maybe that's a 10.
That's probably the highest contrast. That's the white background. There's more colorful things on offer here. I can read those.
Easier. Oh, these are very.
Hey, people who make dice. Sometimes I get excited and I stand up and throw the dice and they land far away from me, and I still want to know what the number is. Sometimes I'm sitting down and I roll dice in front of me and I can't see what the number is, and I never use those dice anymore.
This is the worst offender. Look, these dice have like a graffiti pattern all over them.
It's giving pogs.
It's terrible.
Ryan, you don't want to have to like look over your glasses to see your dice.
No, well, I bit the bullet. I'm an old man now. I got the transition lenses, so I'm no longer doing this. But like sometimes you have to like you pick up the die because you're like, is that an 18 or a 3? That's a problem. That's a poorly designed tool.
Yeah. Readability is more important the older I get with dice.
Huge.
We're so old.
I really want to play Land of Eam, and I've only ever seen it in the wild in the deluxe box set, which is beautiful. But it's like, oh, am I going to drop $100 some odd on this like really fun thing that like I'm probably not going to play because I've got a shelf full of things I'm trying to convince people to play with me. So like, it's cool though, man. It's a very appealing. It hits the right note of like, yeah, man, this is brutal, deadly Muppets. Like, yes, cool. You get it. You understand what makes this fun.
Yeah, this is the kind of OSR product I really appreciate. Like it's a deadly brutal game, but like it's got this whimsical, like fun, almost goofy coat of paint all over it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, hey, since we're all here, let's catch up real quick. What have you guys been up to? This is the part of the show where we just say, what's going on? Brad, what do you got going on?
I have been struggling to get my RPGs back into a consistent weekly routine. You know how it is when you fall out of that weekly routine. We did that over the holidays and took a while to get back to it after the first of the year. And now we're really struggling to recreate that weekly routine and get everybody back on the same page. So my RPGs have been hit or miss. So in the meantime, I have gotten back into painting miniatures. So I broke down and bought a new set of Pro Acrylic paints because those are my new favorite paints. I've slowly been transitioning away from Vallejo paints to Pro Acrylic because the bottles are bigger and I like the caps better. They don't clog up nearly as much. And yeah, so that's my hobby journey right now. Is I just bought a whole new set of 24 Pro Acrylic paints and finally gonna make the leap, doing away with my old Vallejo stuff.
Dope.
That's some deep nerd shit right there.
Chad agrees, though.
I had to think about it and do some math because I killed 5 player characters this week. It was I was busy. It was an eventful week. Tuesdays we're running Shadow Dark. Say no more. Level 1. walking in with 3 hit points. You guys tried to fight the final boss. Yeah, you got the rumors. You knew it was bad news. I told you to run away, but it's cool because character creation is a lot of fun and very quick. That's the idea. So that we've established the old schooliness of Tuesday's campaign with authority. Every player has lost a character. Yeah, we've been playing for 2 weeks and there's none of the original characters left, so that's cool. On Wednesday, I killed 2 7th level D&D 5.5 characters, which is more of an undertaking.
Yeah.
Because Curse of Strahd is deadly, and they are in Ravenloft for the first time, in Castle Ravenloft for the first time. They were on their way out. They didn't really understand that there would be security measures in place at the front door of Strahd's castle, and some bad rolls on their part, some good rolls on my part. I roll in the open, so there's no fudging going on. And yeah, we saw off 2 characters, and it was one of those like, all right, boys, we're going to remember this one for a long time kind of nights. Everyone was feeling the vibes, but it's momentous. It does feel like kind of it's one of the peak D&D experiences. You don't have a lot of opportunities in life to experience a simulacrum of death, and then go to work in the morning. Like it's a pretty unique experience to like have that emotional impact. And if you haven't experienced it, like I don't think you have really hit sort of the depths of what D&D can be. When it's like when you lose a character and you're like, damn, I felt that. That's when you know you are deeply connected to this experience with these people, and it's powerful stuff. So sorry, not sorry. Love you guys. I'll do it again. Play careful.
I have been playing my 5th edition game, and that's the one I run at the school for middle schoolers and high schoolers. So we're like, it's like 8th, 9th, and 10th graders. And the kids have actually gotten really good at playing the game. About 3 weeks ago, 2 of the kids says, I feel like we need more stakes. I feel like we need to up the difficulty level, because what they had figured out is like, well, if we just roll enough dice, things always seem to work out, right? So they put it together themselves, and now they were asking for more of a challenge. So the idea that like, hey, if I roll the dice and I fail, shouldn't there be a consequence before so and so rolls the dice to see if they can do the same thing that I just failed to do, right? So they're doing the math, right? And they're figuring out like, I want this story to be more complex and more challenging. And so I definitely upped the stakes almost instantly, because, experienced DM, you're able to just do that on the fly. Sure. And now they're really getting into the role play aspect of things. Like they were on a quest to defeat a wizard, and they're like, hey, we just beat all the wizard's monsters. Why do we have to keep going up the tower and actually face the wizard? The quest was to stop the monsters from interrupting the supply chain. So if we just prove that all the monsters are dead, we don't have to face the wizard. Of course, now there's going to be consequences because they didn't face the wizard. And then they pulled off this amazing heist, stealing an artifact from a vampire. So yeah, the kids are doing fantastic. I've been really enjoying how much they've learned the game this school year. It's been really cool. Yeah.
I love to hear that, man. That means they have a good teacher, because I've got 30-year-olds who haven't seem to internalize that lesson yet.
Kids' minds are more pliable.
The kids are all right.
I want to recommend everyone go see Project Hail Mary this weekend, the new movie. We'll actually go buy the book tonight, read the book tomorrow, then go see the movie on Sunday. That's what I would recommend you do. Fantastic book, and the movie was really great. It's a little long, not for little kids. It's 2.5 hours, so and it's got a couple scary parts, but any kid over probably 10, 11. I don't know if my kid would like it. It's probably too long for him. But yeah, great movie, great experience. Go see it. Don't wait for it to come out on streaming. Go see it. Big screen, loud sound. The music was a very important part of it. Anyway,
I guess one other thing that's kind of old school D&D adjacent. A friend of mine's band is opening for a Slayer cover band tonight, so I'm gonna go get to experience some Slayer.
There's overlap.
Which for me, there is very much overlap between Slayer, Metallica, and AD&D. So,
sure.
I think we should bring back the intermission. Maybe not on this show necessarily, because we run like a pretty tight hour 15, but like we don't do intermissions anymore as a society. And like that was nice. Hey, everybody, we're going to take a quick little break. You can go to the bathroom, maybe get some snacks, and you're not going to miss anything. And maybe you can have a little conversation, predict what's going to happen in the third act, you know? Well, like we do it at concerts sometimes, but like, let's all go down to the lobby and get ourselves a snack. Come on.
Yeah. No, I was just having that conversation with one of my daughters, my 18-year-old is a very big film buff. Her dad works in the movie business, her biological dad. And I was just having that conversation with her that like going to the theater should be an event, right? Like kids movies, Marvel movies, let them come out on streaming. We can watch them at home, on our couch. But like a really good film needs to be written in a way where like you have an intermission, you have a midpoint, and that way going to see a movie is like going to the theater. Right. It's an event. People dress up for it and make a big deal out of it. I'm going to drop $100 to take my family to a movie. Like make it a fucking experience.
Go off, King. Well, the reason they could do it in the opera and the symphony is that the opera and the symphony, they're just doing one show in a night. But at the movie theater, they want to show that movie as many times as possible throughout the day. And so intermission is adding 15 minutes onto, if it needs an intermission, it's an already long run time. So if it's the difference between showing the movie 4 times a day versus 5 times a day, they'd show it 5 times a day because that's, so much more asses and seats.
But if that intermission, they actually have good food and people are going to buy food during intermission, right?
I don't know. I mean,
you're selling your snacks twice. You're selling them when like people come in, you're selling them to get an intermission. I don't know. I think it could be a business model.
Guys, are we opening a movie theater? Is this happening? Are we doing
I think
this?
we're doing this. I think we're doing this.
Agile Monk's comment just made me realize that like maybe intermissions are like a class indicator, and I am lowbrow. Like I saw the symphony once in the last decade, and they were doing The Princess Bride, and it was incredible. Highly recommend. But like, we've got a great symphony here. Saw them once, and it was The Princess Bride.
I know the last time I went to an actual theater was to see The Book of Mormon. And that was 10 years ago, maybe.
I left that in physical pain. Like my cheeks and my
so
sides, like literally physically hurt to laugh that much.
It was so good. I was telling people, you don't understand. Like I'm changed now that I've seen it. I am different now that I've seen that show. It was Book of Mormon was very special. I'm glad I got to see it.
The last theater show I saw was just a few weeks ago. I went and saw the Scottsboro Boys, which is a unique part of American history. If you get a chance to see that piece, it's definitely worthwhile.
Oh. All right. So moving on to the last thing that we're going to discuss today is that we have learned that Matt Mercer is playtesting or toying around with another D&D subclass. He has made a few subclasses and a few classes. And I like this article because it mentions former D&D creative leads Christ Perkins and Jeremy Crawford.
I missed that. Let us see what our Lord and Savior has tweeted about this rule interpretation.
So yeah, we bow down to the black hat and the black T-shirt.
That's right. The Messiah and the Messenger, right?
The Lisanal Perkins. So we haven't seen a whole lot of this because his character he's been playing in the in campaign 4 is multi-classed, and so he's got levels of fighter and rogue. So he had started off with 2 levels of rogue, I think, so he could get the cunning action stuff, which is, what class couldn't benefit from a 2-level dip in rogue to be able to bonus action dash or disengage? That's great. It's one of the best abilities in the game, cunning action. Anyway, but as they're level 4, maybe even 5 now, I haven't seen the show in a few weeks. But maybe he's up to picking his fighter subclass. And I think now normally I wouldn't talk about a subclass that Matt Mercer is testing on Critical Role, but I think some of these features are pretty cool. Like modified second wind, instead of standard Windy Temple's fighter level, the Daredevil uses second wind to gain temporary hit points. It reinforces the subclass's theme of staying in the fight rather than fully recovering from it. In this case, I think it works that there's a billion things in 5e that give you temporary hit points. Because this makes it riskier. It's not as safe to use it to regain actual hit points now. So I like that. Daring Strike, by spending use of second wind, you can add 1d10 extra damage to an attack. I really like that, because how many times have you seen the fighter having, when multiple people are down, it's the fighter against the baddie, and the fighter thinks the baddie has maybe 10, 15 hit points left and thinks, maybe I can take him down in this one swing if I throw everything into it. And then you see the math going on in that player's head as they're trying to figure out, can I do this or do I run? That just fits the theme of the Daredevil. Penalty for failure. The risk comes if you miss that Daring Strike, the target gets advantage on its next roll. And then there are abilities you get from being bloodied, which fits the Daredevil theme. I don't know. I just think this is foreseeing a lot of subclasses and other stuff in 5.5 and in the UA that's just like, what if we took these abilities from this other class and sprinkled them on top of this class and we called it a subclass? That this subclass feels like, oh, Matt Mercer started with a character concept and then built a subclass that would do that. He was like, I want to make a fighter who's kind of reckless, who's daring, who will put himself at risk in order to deal extra damage. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I agree. I think it's a cool concept. I much prefer that. I much prefer a subclass that actually, identifies with an archetype versus a subclass that's just like, oh, let's put a little bit of rogue into your warlock. Let's put a little bit of warlock into your fighter, right? Whatever. Because, if you're going to do that, then why have multi-classing, right? So I much prefer a subclass that plays to a type.
I love a good risk reward. I think the coolest stuff to potentially come out of this, like the second they put bloodied in the glossary again, it's like, oh, cool, things are going to proc on that. And we haven't seen as much as I would like, or much at all, of that being used yet. But like for monsters, for subclasses, maybe classes, like you put that in the book and it's like, cool, I actually have an incentive to flirt with danger here. There's things I can do when my hit points aren't topped off. So now I have a risk reward thing. There isn't the one optimal answer that mathematically is the right answer, and therefore there is no choice there. The other thing is desperate measures. Desperate measures is a Daggerheart thing that they have made even bigger and better now. And it's like maybe the coolest thing to come out of campaign 4 that's going to affect 5.5 if it starts to expand out from that. If we get an official, be it from Darrington Press or from WotC, and the lines are getting blurrier by the night, maybe we'll see more official subclasses coming out doing that, or just more tables adopting it. Like, hey, I will trade you a death save for a crit. Like, that's a devil's bargain. Now we're talking. Now everyone else leans into the table to see what the player decides. Now there's stakes.
Yeah,
So
I like
I'm over
that. And I like that about Nimble, right? Where you have the different, I think they call them tags, like smoldering and charged and that sort of thing. So especially as a spellcaster, where you can put that charge tag on yourself so that you take some damage, but then that allows you to cast a spell that you otherwise couldn't cast, right? Like, I like those risk reward mechanics in the game because it drives the gameplay away from I'm just going to stand here and do the optimal thing because that's mechanically, the smartest thing to do. I like mechanics that push the gameplay to be more exciting. And apparently I need to check out this this game from 1982 that was meant to emulate pulp magazine fiction. So, because that sounds right up my alley.
Yeah, I don't know this one.
Yeah, I hadn't heard of that one either. Thanks, Agile Monk.
It's funny. I don't really love the Blood Hunter, but I really love the thought process that went into making it, right? Like the methodology of thinking that got someone, like the concept before he sat down to make it, right? Like I think there's a better executed version of that, but again, it just comes down to the risk reward again, right? Like, yeah, you can do some cool stuff if you cut yourself and draw some blood and take a couple points of damage. Like, it's a little creepy and dark, but if you do it right, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, the thing I didn't like about the Blood Hunter was why they made their spellcasting intelligence. Why not just let them have, because now you're a fighter, so you need strength and int for your spells, but you also need con, because that's the thing, is hurting yourself to fuel things. Why not just actually let a class have con as their spellcasting ability?
Mm-hmm.
And give us some kind of lore thing from that about how, like, you have the blood of the ancient giant tribe in you, and that literal blood is what fuels your magic. Like, that sounds cool.
Why are we so afraid of that? Why is that taboo? Honestly, because I think any argument you can make for like why you shouldn't have con be a base stat for a class, insert dex, and you already did it like 5 times over. Dex is the god stat. Oh, we don't want your initiative and your armor class and the thing that lets you do cool stuff to be the same thing. Well, you already did. Why can't I have a blood sorcerer? Why can't I expend my like life force in order to do cool shit? Let's go. Come on.
Yeah, if they could even a class that really used con as for spell casting, class like that might not even need spell slots. If spells had a hit dice cost, or if it's like fireball, you just do half the damage to yourself or something like that. Like if you wanted a simplified casting class, maybe that's just like, do I have enough hit points to cast this spell? Yes, no, that's easier than spell slots. Maybe that's not right for 5.5. Maybe that's more a Dagger Hard or Shadow Dark or an OSE kind of class. I don't know. I'm just speaking here. Hey, Agile Monk, thanks for the $5, man. We're not monetized, so we don't know where that $5 is going, but thank you.
No, you that $5 you get, don't you? Yeah.
Not as far as I know. We don't have this YouTube channel doesn't have tax information entered, so there's nowhere. That money is just being held in escrow by YouTube, I suppose, until we
monetize.
Until we monetize, which is probably not going to happen on this channel.
Hey guys, we had this great idea. We had this great idea to make one channel to rule them all, but make it 4 channels. And then like 6 months later, they came out with the ampersand, but you can't do that for live. So whatever. We're having a good time. We're having a good time.
Anyway, Agile Monk, we love you. That was what I wanted to say.
Yeah.
We love you, and thanks for supporting the show. I think we're about out of time now. We're going to wrap it up. I hope that the weather is lovely where you are. We've just hit summer this week in Colorado, so I'm excited for that. Excited for 80 degrees all weekend. Not even kidding. Okay, let me shut this off. We're not talking about about the Daredevil anymore. Anyway,
one quick thing before we go. I should have brought this up during the catch up. I don't know why I forgot. I am attending a small game con at UNC Wilmington, University of North Carolina, Wilmington, which if you know anything about college basketball, they just actually won in the first round of the Big Dance. But I am running UDare. Our game. I'm running UDare at this game con, and then I'm sitting at the designer's table to talk about UDare. So,
whoa,
yeah.
Is that talk going to be recorded?
I don't believe so. This is a very small. This is only like the second year of this game con, but University of North Carolina Wilmington is building their own little gaming convention, and
I would ask them if they can record. If you're going to do like a workshop and you're going to talk about UDare, ask them if they can record that. Man, we could put it out on this channel.
Yeah, it's not like a workshop. It's just like an open table, like for people to walk by. So like I'll be sitting there with some other people that have self-published their own games, and people will be able to walk up and ask questions and I'll be giving out a copy, and so pointing them to our drive-through RPG to download the character pack.
Nice, very cool.
Sick. As a shareholder of Landlocked Warlocks, I vote that we spend that $5 to print copies for Brad at his table.
Approved. We will send it. We will send it to the Emperor and see if she agrees. We got to get the Emperor to sign off on everything because we are not a democracy, unfortunately.
Our CFO is tough. Okay.
Yeah, the kind of like tattoos on the inside of the mouth, kind of tough, and you're like, oh god, yeah, like intense. That's the new corporate secret is inner mouth tattoos. Then you want to intimidate your business rivals, you show them where it says "fuck you" on the inside of your mouth.
Because if you're seeing them, you're in trouble. Because one, they've had to put the effort in. Two, it goes away. You have to re-up that. So they're sitting down to get that done every so often just to shove it into your face. So we can edit this, right? I don't want her to know that we're talking about.
Tight handshake is out. That's so 20th century. Now inner mouth tattoos. I'm calling it. That's the new thing. All right, we're rambling. We got to go. All right, hey everyone, we love you. We'll see you. Thanks. Have a good weekend.